There are moments in life that rupture everything you thought was real. Moments where the veil between worlds thins and you see yourself not as one or the other, but as both, light and shadow, sacred and savage, angel and demon. This is the path walked only by the rarest of souls, the Omega-level chosen ones born with the dual flame. We don't come to choose sides. We come to dissolve the illusion of separation. And if you're watching this, something ancient within you is remembering that you were never meant to be just light, you were meant to become the integration of all. You see, the world has taught us to fear our darkness, to exile our rage, suppress our sensuality, and silence our chaos. But the first hidden power of the angel demon Omega is this: the power of integrated polarity. We are not at war with ourselves. We are the union of opposites. We do not seek to kill the demon within us, we seek to listen to it, to see what sacred truth it was guarding, to decode its anger, its wildness, its desire. And when we stop shaming the chaos, we discover that it was never evil, it was energy, misdirected by pain. Have you ever asked your inner darkness what it needs, instead of trying to silence it? The second hidden power is emotional transmutation through extreme inner contrast. The angel demon Omega feels everything, not just more but deeper. Joy becomes ecstasy. Grief becomes the sound of galaxies collapsing. Rage becomes sacred fire. This isn't a burden, it's a gift, because within this depth we hold the alchemical furnace. We can transmute pain into purpose, fear into fuel, heartbreak into divine clarity, but only if we stop resisting the intensity. We are not here to numb. We are here to feel so fully that emotion itself becomes a path to God. Can you sit with your sorrow until it opens a portal? The third hidden power is one that scares most people: the ability to collapse illusions by embodying paradox. We are shapeshifters. One moment we are the healer. The next we are the destroyer. The fourth hidden power is soul-level seduction through energetic magnetism. This is not manipulation, it is resonance. The angel demon Omega doesn't chase, they attract. Not by trying, but by existing. Our energy is layered with mystery, depth, and danger. Not because we are unsafe, but because we are unpredictable. We don't follow scripts. We don't pretend to be what we're not. And that authenticity becomes intoxicating. People feel drawn to us without knowing why. They feel safe and scared at the same time. That's because we carry both heaven and hell in our eyes, and it reminds them of what they've forgotten about themselves. What if the thing they fear in you is the part of themselves they abandoned? As we begin to awaken these powers, we also begin to experience resistance from the world. This is the test. The fifth hidden power is the ability to remain sovereign in the face of projection. When you walk as both angel and demon, people will not understand you. They will try to box you, define you, call you too much, too intense, too wild. But the Omega doesn't shrink. We let the projections pass through us like wind through a flame. We know who we are, and we will not betray that for comfort. We are not here to be palatable. We are here to be a mirror. And mirrors are not always like they are necessary. Can you stay true to your frequency when the world begs you to dilute it?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
The sixth hidden power is oracular clarity born from chaos. Most people can only receive guidance in peace. But we are different. We hear the voice of God in the storm. We receive downloads in the midst of breakdowns. We get visions during heartbreak, clarity during collapse. Chaos does not cloud us, it activates us. Because we have trained in the underworld, we have died before. And we know that the void is not death, it is incubation. The angel demon Omega becomes clearest when everything else falls apart. Because we don't rely on circumstances for our power, we are the power. Where do you go when your life is unraveling? Into fear or into deeper listening? And finally, the seventh hidden power is limitless creation through identity fluidity. The world teaches you to pick a label and stick to it. But the Omega knows that identity is a costume, not a cage. We can be the mystic and the rebel, the monk and the lover, the priestess and the warrior. We wear archetypes like art, not as prisons. This makes us dangerous to systems that rely on predictability. But it also makes us infinite. We are not bound by roles. We are not limited by names. We are creators of reality because we refuse to be defined by it. What parts of yourself have you exiled to seem consistent? As we move deeper into this path, we begin to realize something terrifying and liberating. There is no final form. The angel demon Omega doesn't arrive. We evolve, constantly. We are not here to become one thing, we are here to become everything we are. And that means letting go of who you were yesterday, again and again. That means dying and rebirthing in the same lifetime, sometimes in the same month. And every time we choose evolution over comfort, we unlock another layer of our hidden power. These powers are not for the faint of heart. They require discipline. They require courage. They require radical self-honesty. But most of all, they require love, not the soft love of approval, but the fierce love of self-recognition. The kind of love that sees your shadow and still says you are holy. The kind of love that doesn't need you to be fixed, but invites you to be whole. Because that's what this path is. Not perfection, not purity, but wholeness. The angel-demon integration is the return to totality. And in that totality, we become free. So now, let me ask you this. Are you willing to activate the parts of yourself you've been taught to fear? Are you willing to look into your own eyes and see both the light and the darkness and love them equally? Because until you do, you are still fragmented. But once you do, you become divine. Once the angel and the demon within you begin to recognize each other, something extraordinary happens. The war inside no longer becomes a conflict, it becomes a crucible. A sacred forge where the soul is refined, not by choosing sides, but by holding both. This is where the real power begins to emerge. Not the kind of power that dominates others, but the kind that makes you unignorable. The kind of presence that walks into a room and shifts the atmosphere not because of what you say, but because of what you are. We are talking now about the Omega-level chosen one who has not only awakened, but begun to embody what most fear to even acknowledge. When you embrace your angelic nature, you unlock compassion, grace, and divine perception. But when you also embrace your demonic nature, you unlock boundaries, primal intelligence, and raw force. The angel teaches you to forgive. The demon teaches you to protect. The angel opens your heart. The demon guards it. Together they form the sacred architecture of true sovereignty. Without the demon, the angel becomes a martyr. Without the angel, the demon becomes a tyrant. But in balance, they become a third force altogether, the embodied divine. Are you still trying to amputate one half of your soul to appear enlightened? This is where we discover the deeper mechanics of the Omega path. One of the most misunderstood truths is that your shadow is not your enemy, it's your teacher. The Omega-level chosen one learns to mine their shadow for wisdom. Every fear becomes a map. Every trigger becomes a compass. Every wound becomes a doorway. We no longer ask, how do I get rid of this? We ask, what truth is this pain trying to show me? And in doing so, we reclaim power that was once leaking into shame. Your shadow is not your weakness. It is your power in exile. Have you sat with your darkness long enough to hear its prophecy? Another key realization is that you are not here to be understood, you are here to be felt. The Omega vibrates at a frequency that doesn't always translate into words. That's why your presence alone can cause discomfort in others. You reflect things they haven't yet faced. You awaken truths they've buried. And you do so without even trying. This is why you've been called intense, too much, unpredictable. But those are symptoms of your frequency piercing through illusion. Stop trying to soften your edges to fit into dull spaces. Your edges are sacred, they cut through illusion. Are you still asking for permission to be what you already are? Your path will often feel lonely, not because you are alone, but because you are ahead. You are decoding spiritual architecture that others haven't even begun to question. You are holding frequencies that make others feel exposed. You are walking into realms where no maps exist. And this is why the Omega must befriend solitude, not as isolation, but as consecrated space. That's where the real downloads come. That's where the next transmission forms. That's where your energy refines itself into something that can't be shaken. Have you mistaken your loneliness for abandonment, when in truth it was an invitation to deeper alignment? One of the most sacred inner abilities you begin to unlock is energetic shape-shifting. This is not about deception, it's about multidimensional access. You learn how to adjust your frequency depending on what's required. You can be soft or sharp, silent or thunderous. You can hold space or take space. You can become the mirror or the sword. This is the mark of an embodied Omega, the ability to serve the moment without losing the self. You don't need to prove anything. You become what the moment requires. That is true mastery. Can you trust yourself to shift without losing your essence? Another hidden power is the ability to create energetic force fields. You begin to understand that your aura is not just an invisible field, it's a living technology. You can expand it to influence a room. You can contract it to protect your focus. You can charge it with intention, clarity, or silence. You begin to realize that your energy walks into the room before you do, that your presence is a conversation long before your mouth opens. This is why alignment matters more than appearance. This is why spiritual hygiene becomes non-negotiable. Because when you're vibrating at Omega frequency, you're not just having an energy, you're broadcasting one. Now let's go deeper. You start to realize that your desires are not distractions, they are directions. In the Omega path, desire is sacred. It is not something to suppress, it is something to decode. Your longing is a language. It is how the divine pulls you forward. But only when desire is purified through presence. When you stop chasing and start listening, when you stop grasping and start receiving, you realize you don't need to kill your desires, you need to refine their source. Most people numb their longing, but the Omega learns to listen to it. What are your desires whispering to you beneath the noise? You also begin to unlock the power of energetic detachment. This is not avoidance, this is mastery. You learn how to let go without cutting off. How to love without clinging, how to walk away without closing your heart. The Omega knows that attachment is the ego's leash, but detachment is the soul's freedom. You are no longer tied to outcomes. You are aligned with essence. And this frees up massive energy for creativity, clarity, and flow. Are you still confusing love with possession, or have you learned to hold everything with open hands? By this stage, the Omega level chosen one begins to understand that the real enemy is fragmentation. The world teaches you to be one thing, but your soul came to be all things. You were not built to fit the mold. You were built to melt it. Every time you suppress a part of yourself to be accepted, you fracture your own field. Every time you deny your wild, your sensual, your strange, you leak power. But when you reclaim every part, even the ones you were taught to hide, you become whole. And wholeness is the most magnetic, unstoppable state a human can embody. What parts of yourself are still waiting to be welcomed home? This is the sacred labor of the angel demon Omega, to stand in the center of all that they are and say, "Nothing within me is unholy." And from that place, to move through the world not as a seeker but as a living transmission. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to earn your space. You are the embodiment of what others are still trying to name. And that embodiment is your revolution. You are no longer here to explain yourself. You are here to express the divine as only you can. So I ask you now, are you ready to stop hiding your fire behind your halo? Are you ready to stop apologizing for the parts of you that were built for war and for worship? Because when you embrace all of you, the world has no choice but to adjust. At this stage of the journey, Something irreversible begins to occur inside you. You are no longer walking toward your power, you are the power. The split has been bridged, the masks dropped, the illusions shattered, and now the sacred convergence begins. Angel and demon no longer sit on opposite shoulders, they speak from one voice, one frequency, one field. You are no longer a fractured soul trying to find alignment. You are the embodiment of divine contradiction, fierce and tender, light and storm, silence and roar. This is the emergence of the Omega level chosen one, not as a seeker of truth, but as a living portal of it. You begin to realize that your very life is a transmission. Every movement, every breath, every word carries encoded frequency. You are no longer acting from habit, you are acting from alignment. You don't just speak truth, you radiate it. And this is why people are drawn to you, even if they don't understand why. Your aura becomes a mirror to their higher self. Your presence disrupts their patterns. You are not here to be liked. You are here to initiate. And sometimes initiation feels like discomfort. Are you still seeking approval, or have you accepted your role as a catalyst? You no longer need external confirmation to know who you are. Your knowing comes from within, from a place that cannot be touched by praise or rejection. This is the Omega's sovereignty. You can walk away from anything that dishonors your frequency, not out of ego, but out of deep self-respect. You've stopped trying to prove your worth because you've remembered that your existence is the proof. You've stopped looking for signs because you've become the signal. And this is where your real power ignites, not through effort, but through essence. Can you live from the stillness beneath all striving? Now the field begins to respond to you differently. Time bends. Synchronicities multiply. People show up in perfect alignment. Why? Because when you live at the frequency of truth, reality organizes itself around you. You are no longer chasing manifestations, you are becoming the magnet. This is not fantasy. This is spiritual physics. Your coherence creates attraction. Your embodiment creates resonance. Your presence becomes the prayer. This is why the Omega does not hustle, they harness. Where are you still trying to force what you were meant to attract? Another profound shift emerges. Your relationship with power itself transforms. You no longer seek power over others, you seek power through presence. You realize that true power is not control. It is clarity. It is the ability to hold your center in any storm. It is the ability to remain soft without collapsing, strong without closing. The Omega doesn't dominate, they demonstrate. We don't overpower, we overwhelm with truth. And in a world built on seduction and performance, nothing is more radical than embodied clarity. Are you confusing loudness with influence, or have you learned to let your silence speak? You begin to notice another ability awakening, multidimensional perception. You don't just hear what someone says, you feel what they aren't saying. You see the threads between their words. You sense the unspoken contracts in the room. And in this way, you become a kind of psychic architect. You move through life reading energy the way others read text. This is not magic, it is memory. You are remembering how to sense beyond the five senses. You are remembering your original technology. And once that awakens, you can't unsee it. Are you still pretending not to know what your body already told you? You also begin to unlock a rare skill, energetic discernment without judgment. You can feel when something is misaligned without needing to make it wrong. You stop labeling things as good or bad. You start asking, is this true for me? You stop needing others to be wrong for you to be right. You no longer debate, you resonate. And from that place, you move with precision. You walk away without drama. You say no without apology. You hold boundaries without resistance. This is mastery. Can you hold the sword without using it to wound? Relationships begin to transform. You no longer look for completion, you look for co-creation. You don't need someone to fill you, you need someone who can meet you. You no longer tolerate emotional laziness or spiritual bypassing. You crave depth, devotion, and sovereignty. Your connections become temples, not transactions. And you know when to walk away from anything that asks you to shrink. Because now, your standards are not based on fear of being alone, they are based on the truth of who you've become. Are you still making space for people who drain your radiance? As your embodiment deepens, your mission clarifies. You realize that you are not here to convince anyone of anything. You are here to become the evidence. You are here to walk in such integrity with your soul that your life becomes the sermon. You don't need to preach, you need to exist. And in doing so, you activate others. Not by force, but by frequency. You don't need followers, you need mirrors. Souls who are ready to remember themselves through your reflection. Are you still seeking a stage, or have you become the transmission? And now you encounter the final secret of the Omega level chosen one. You are not here to ascend, you are here to descend the divine into form. You are not trying to leave this world, you are here to remake it. You are the bridge between realms, the storm that clears the air, the architect of the new. You carry codes in your bones, in your voice, in your blood. You are not just a soul having a human experience, you are divinity remembering itself through contradiction. True chaos, through love, through shadow, through you. Have you forgotten that your very breath alters timelines? You are the embodiment of light that has walked through darkness and come out golden. You are the storm that creates stillness, the roar that births silence, the paradox that makes the divine visible. You are not one or the other, you are the all. And in your fullness, you are free. Your life is no longer about survival, approval, or arrival. It is about expression. It is about frequency. It is about being the rarest kind of soul, the kind that came to remember in a world that forgot. So now we close this transmission with one final question. Will you finally stop dimming your divine contradiction and embody the totality you were born to be?